Brightest Blessings. This is Raven, and welcome to my Grimoire flip through. This is one that you've seen before, however, it is now a lot more chunky, as you can see, to the point where I'm going to have to reconsider what I'm going to do with it, because I've got so much stuff in this, it's unreal. So let's have a quick look through. If you've seen the previous videos, you'll have seen some of these pages, but not all of them. So we'll have a little look, and hopefully you can see everything okay. I should be in shot. So inside, I put some pockets in with some signed artwork and various other things. So I had a birthday card here, which was signed by Lisa Parker, and another year I had it signed by Lisa Parker as well. And then I have, I'll try and pull these out, 2 pieces of artwork that I got while I was visiting Cornwall in the UK, and they have been signed also. Just leave those there for a second so you can take screenshots if you're interested in the artwork. So that's those. And then we come to the book itself. So you all should know by now that my magical name is Raven Heldracker. My normal name is Kerry, and you'll see pictures of me throughout the book. This is my emblem, my symbol, my sign of protection is a dragon, and this is the one that called to me the most. So you'll have noticed that this is my profile picture on YouTube, and it is part of the Heldracker Craft sign. So here we have a book blessing and some artwork from an old calendar. This is one of those silly little things that people give to you that you want to keep because you love it so much. And it's from Harry Potter, basically saying that I took part in the Triwizard tournament, and I love that. And here we have a sort of mood board. Purple is my favourite colour, purple and black. So there's a lot of purples throughout the book. Some Theban script here. A little bit of information about magical names and why my name is Raven Heldracker. We have some poems and other things at the start of the book. This is one of my art journal pieces of work that I made many years ago now. And we move on to my birth chart. I will just say here that this isn't necessarily in order. I tend to move things about, which is why I like having the binder. And this tends to mean that I put things in, I take things out. I do have another grimoire that is similar to this, that has got the bits in that I don't necessarily want in this one. And I haven't gone through this one yet this year, so this is sort of my way of looking through it now and thinking, actually, I don't need that in there anymore. So this is one of my art journal pieces. You will have seen this in the previous video a few years ago, where I was going through a particularly dark place. And when I'm going through things spiritually, emotionally, I tend to do art journaling to help me get those emotions out, and it's part of my shadow work that I do. And actually underneath here, this is all glued on, but underneath this is a spell for healing, and I tend to do that a lot as well, whether it be through art journaling or just on a colouring page. I'll, you know, do it in pencil where I'm writing out a spell or a chant for healing, and then I cover it over with layers of things or lots of pencils or paint or pens so that it's like a hidden spell. Some information on my birth tarot cards there. So I'm an Aries. My birthday is in March. It's on the 24th. So I'm sort of on the cusp really with the Aries. And I often find that although I do feel I fit into the Aries, what's the word? Sorry, fibro fog today. The Aries group then we'll say, I do actually resonate with others too. So I wanted to put lots of information in here about who I am, because this is supposed to be passed down to my children, and I wanted to explore myself. And that's a big part of witchcraft that a lot of people don't realise, that actually witchcraft is a journey into the self. It's not an outward thing necessarily, it's more of an inward thing. You're learning about yourself and who you are. Here I have a couple of ancestral shrine pages that I like to put out during Samhain. I do actually have an ancestral shelf in my living room, and that has pictures and mementos of my loved ones. So this was my grandmother, my great-grandmother, Emily. She died 20 years ago now. This was my granddad. He passed away during COVID, not from COVID, but during COVID. And I was very, very close to my grandfather. This is my other grandfather. This is John. And he also passed away during COVID, but again, not from COVID. And that's me when I was a little girl. And my nan here, Brenda, she passed away this last year. And my other nan here, she also passed away in 2022. Sort of on a similar timeline to how my grandfather's passed away, actually. There was sort of a month and a half between. This is my Aunt Karen. She passed away when I was 6, I believe. And this is me at my christening with my mum and my dad. And that's my Uncle Steve, my mum's brother, who is still living. And yeah, I was adorable. No, you don't need to comment on that. We move on to planes of existence and my core beliefs, really. Some artwork there. I like to scatter artwork, and this is purely an artwork page. I would consider myself a Ravenclaw when it comes to Harry Potter. So I like to scatter bits of artwork throughout, whether it be on the pages with information or just separately. Talking about balance, again, some more artwork. You would have seen this piece of art in the previous video of this grimoire, but I have actually added colour to it now. This was something that my daughter coloured for me. Some information about the goddess. And the god in my practice. This was a free printable page, but I do not remember exactly where this came from. If you know, perhaps comment below so that other people can get to it. Daily practice. So we've got some information here on my daily practices and what I like to do. And this is really important, actually, not just for future generations, but to document what you do daily as part of your magical practice is actually really important and helps you understand your practice a little bit more. So this is some pictures of me and my daughter. She's 11 now, so these are quite old, but that's me and my daughter Lily Rose. And again there, and that's Lily Rose about 2 years ago now, on her way to a disco with her school. So yeah, I like to keep photos in my books. It keeps me connected and keeps my energy stored in the book itself. Here I'm talking about Amun, my spirit guide. I'm trying not to flick through it too quickly because I am aware that people want to be able to look at the pages. Here I drew a little dragon, and there's some pictures of my daughter when she was younger. Lily Rose is, as I said, 11 now, and she actually keeps her own information herself, so I don't need to necessarily put as much of her energy into this one, but I like having a bit of her energy in here. So this she coloured as well, and I like to try and keep information and photos and artwork that my children have done, just so that, again, their energy is imprinted in the book. Nightmare Before Christmas. This was an old calendar that I was given for Christmas by my sister-in-law, I believe. Nightmare Before Christmas and Tim Burton in general is sort of my favourite movie category, director, producer, along those lines. Words of wisdom for my daughter. So my daughter Lily Rose is autistic, mildly, but still, and quite often it's quite difficult to talk to her about certain things if she's not really interested in it at the moment. So I wanted to put some words in here that she can always refer to, and she does come and look at this book occasionally, so it's nice for her to come across certain pages that are specifically for her. Again, Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. So this was some of my art journaling again. Different to the others, this was using watercolours. And this was based off something I saw off Pinterest, actually, that I really like the look of. So I sort of recreated it in my own way. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, so long as you're changing it up a little bit. The point of showing you these things is that it gives you inspiration, and I have no issues at all with you taking screenshots of my book, of you zooming in and looking at the information and thinking, actually, I want to make a page exactly the same as that. I have no issue with that, otherwise I wouldn't show it you. So here, 50 things every witch should try at least once, and there's a big list there. And I have put over at the top because it did end up being over 50 in the end. 10 things that are important to witches. Now I say witches in a general sense because a lot of these are important to everybody, really. You know, hearing and saying no, learn to set boundaries and be comfortable to say no to others. That to me is a really important thing, whether you're a witch or not, because so many times you hear of people that just can't say no. They have to say yes, and that was something I personally struggled with for a long time. Well, I said in previous videos that I'm not Wiccan, but I do like the Wiccan read, so that has been pasted into a little book that I've made out of an old calendar and put into here. Some inspiration and further advice. 13 Goals of a Witch. I'm sure you've heard and seen various spreads on that. Rudy picture, so I have to cover that up. The Witch's Creed. And then we move on to references and charts. And this by all means is not all my information. As you saw in the last video, I have smaller bullet journal size books of shadows, and a lot of that information is actually in those. It's just that these are the things that I refer to or know the most, that I don't need to keep going back to all the time. So elemental balance and combinations. Oh, yawn, excuse me. And then an elements title page. And again, this is all very general information. And as you can see, I like my book to be quite artistic and have a variety of papers. This was from an old diary of mine, and I've stuck in a spell that I really liked from a book. Now, a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but actually if I get books from, say, the Works here in the UK, once I've read the book, if there are things in it that I really want, a lot of the time I won't ever read the book again necessarily, and I don't want stacks and stacks of books. I don't have time or space to be able to go through them and store them, so I will tend to just cut out the bits that I want and use the rest of the book as glue pages or, you know, for other things. They never get thrown in the bin, let's put it that way. They get reused. This was a colouring page that my daughter did for me. And some pages have remained blank, and that's been done on purpose because I know I've got other information I need to put in here, but I haven't done it yet. This is generally something that I work on once a year. So I work in my smaller books of shadows, my little bullet journals throughout the year, and then at some point, usually between December and March, I'd say, I'll take information out of those and put them into here. And I'll also look through these and think, actually, I don't want that in here anymore. I do apologise. Oh dear. It's not that I'm tired, it just is quite early in the morning here. So I've got some photos that I need to stick in here, and that's sort of my reminder. Stick that there. Some altar ideas. Artwork again. So this page, as you can see, has come from a different folder, and that's because a long time ago, when I was sort of 15, 16, when I first started in my practice, I had a 3-ring binder, Book of Shadows, and these were some of the first pages that I did. And now we move on to Sabbats and Spellwork. Again, that's been left plain because I have got stuff to write in there. I just haven't got around to it yet. This was from a book, this piece of art, and again, inside is something from another book that I really like the look of, so I cut it out and stuck it in. Here again, a spell for women of a certain age. And I really liked this one, so that's in here. What I try and do is, when it comes to Sabbats, is have some relating spells and rituals that I may do at that time of year. And everything in here I have done many times, otherwise it wouldn't be in here. So this is talking about the foods that I tend to use during this time of year. And in here is a couple of recipes. I've got more to go in here, which is why there's still quite a few blank ones. And the reason this is blank is because I've been working a lot on my Kitchen Witch Book of Shadows, which was the previous video to this one. And a lot of my recipes are in there. But I made a little book to be able to keep in here. There's also goddess information or god information when it comes to the Sabbats. I like to work with Hecate quite a lot during this Samhain period, so there's a lot of information about her here. And a lot of this information is stuff that you can find on the internet or in books, and some of it is my own personal info. Some artwork here of a chubby witch on a broom, which is me 100%, because I am a chubby witch. So yeah, I loved that piece of art. I thought that was amazing. Some more Hecate information. And you can see throughout the book that all the pages are completely different. You know, I might be using some of the same types of paper, but no one page looks the same, and that's what I love about this. Some pages are white, some are coffee dyed, some are eco dyed, and then I have bought papers like this. It didn't have the printing on. I printed this onto here, and I think this was from Amazon. If I can find the link, it was a set of 60, I think, different vintage style papers. This was in it also. And as I said, I've just printed the information out onto here. This is a piece of tissue paper. This was printed out from Pinterest. And this is looking at amulets. I like to make amulets for protection and things during Samhain, so this was apt to put in here. Working with apples during Samhain. Apple divination. And then we move on to Yule. So there's lots and lots and lots of bits and bobs that have been attached here, there and everywhere. This is some scrapbooking paper that I absolutely love. I am actually going to be making some journals out of this paper, which I will show you. I've done the covers already in another video. I'll show you the covers that I've made out of this scrapbooking paper. This was a Yule card that somebody gave to me that I've just made into a page. This was hand painted by me. I love this page. It turned out brilliant. This might end up being quite a long video, so I do apologise, but I will keep it in under an hour if I can. This is part of that scrapbook paper that I was talking about. I mean, the artwork on it is just stunning, don't you think? And this is pullouts about the first Yule. It's like a little story, and here was a story that I found on the internet and actually edited it slightly to fit in with my practice, and it's something that me and my daughter reads every year, and I've just turned it into a little book. I mean, listen to that. Lovely. And it's just on a little bit of elastic, so that's easy for me to pull in and out. Again, with the books, there was a good health wishing spell there and a healing the body spell. A bit about my personal Yule traditions. This is where it starts getting difficult because of how chunky it is. Yule cleansing. My solstice wish for my children. Some information about grounding. We move on to Imbolc. This is tracing paper. It was printed on tracing paper, and I've used it as like a pocket so that I can put things in here. So that was a little rune massage lotion. Childbirth ritual. and protecting newborns. So they're nice and easy to pull out, and there's plenty of space in there to add more. Again, this is from my very old binder, and a lot of the reason I wanted to keep these is because it reminds me of that time, and everything in that one was pretty much printed, because I sort of saw programs like Charmed, for example, which I'm sure most of you have seen, where it's all completely beautiful. And although theirs was handwritten, I wanted mine to look like that. And although now I think it does look like that, at the time I thought the only way I could do that at 15, 16 was to print it. And here is some more bits from out of another book. I'll turn that into a little book for in here. Again, these are older pages. One of my Imbolc rituals. And we move on to Ostara. And here there's a recipe for Ostara bread and some more of that scrapbook paper that I love, with another spell on and another spell on that one. And this is a pocket too, again with bits from books that I really liked and wanted to keep. And some of these I may make my own pages about instead of keeping the bits of information, like this was out of a book. But for now, I'm quite happy to just have them in pockets or stapled in. Information about, oh, the postman's just been, so Douglas is going to bark, I apologise. So we've got some more information about, this must have been a very pink day. I'm not usually a lover of pink, but I think I associate pink with Ostara, so that's why that's like that. Compared to the rest of the book, that shot of pink connects in with the snake. And shedding your skin. And here we've got another pull out there. Grounding spells. Beltane now. And here I've got some bits. There is some in, I can't remember where the thing, oh, it's there. There is a pocket here as well with lots more in. I won't get them all out because it is just book pages from books. Talking about the Great Rite, and there's some more book pages and things there. And then we sort of move on, although it's still Beltane related. This part is about sex magic and all of those sorts of things. So I will flick through it so that you can see, but we're not going to linger on it because if we've got people under 18, that's not a suitable topic. Hand fasting as well. This, I find that Beltane is all about relationships, so that's why it's all in here. And things like the Corpse Bride vows, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie, but but I really loved the vows, so I wanted that in here. So this is the stuff that I was talking about Tantra and various other things. As I said, I'm not going to linger because of the subject matter. On to Litha now. So this was a very plain page, and I can tell you why, because I actually did this back years and years ago when I was working. I can't work now because I'm disabled, but at the time I was working and I was doing a night shift, and it was a long night, and I was doing some research, and I just wanted to jot it down, and I just thought, well, I'll just stick it in as it is. So you can see the difference really between like this would be classed as general notes, right? To me, this is general notes as opposed to my more artistic pages that take a bit more time. And there's nothing wrong with this, nothing at all. If that's how you want your book to be, that's perfectly fine. I just prefer, you know, something a bit more artistic. So I've done a little bit of art, but not very much. Lots of spells for health there, out of a book that I liked. On to Lammas. And this again is a pocket with things pushed into there, and we've got various pieces there. Oh, it does flip out, but it's stuck. There we go. And actually, I really like this. At the time, I used some double-sided tape, and after a while, that tape fails, essentially. So you can see where the tape was, but actually, it's made it look a lot more aged. It sort of seeped through the page, and then obviously comes off. So I've had to glue them all back in, but it's actually added to the aged look, so I was quite happy with that. It didn't bother me. It's a little flippy out. This was from a calendar. And we're nearing the end of this side now. Not too much more to go. Some different spells there. Moving on to Mabon. So this is where it's going to start getting really difficult because everything's on the other side. And we've got lots of bits of information. Honouring the Dark Mother. Again, another piece from a calendar. I haven't even bothered backing that one. I've just shoved it in because I liked it so much. And then randomly at the back of this book is some other bits and pieces. So some information about the first mermaid. That's a poem here by Tennyson. Mermaid Goddess. And some visualization work there. Here's some of my art journaling again, and this was because I saw a European green woodpecker in my garden out of nowhere. I'd never ever seen one before. As I said, I live in the UK, and it wasn't something that I'd ever seen in the garden, so I felt that had meaning. and some symbolism, so I decided to do a page. This was October 2020. And some information on foxes. I do love a fox. Beautiful creatures. And you can see I flip out after flip out after flip out after flip out of some of my sketches and things. The wolf. And this is a flip out. You won't be able to catch it on the camera, but it does completely flip out. It's a full page. The cat as a spirit animal. And there's a little bit of catnip in there. And this is about different breeds of cat. And then again, we've got a flip out and a flip out. I'm trying to keep it all in shot, but it is quite difficult. And as I've said in previous videos, this is a brilliant way to keep adding information to pages. Instead of having lots and lots of pages, you can literally just keep adding flip outs and pockets and various things. The raven. And the very last page in this side is about owls. So that's that. Now comes the difficult part of putting all this back over. Now I'm trying not to edit videos at the moment because to me it sucks up so much time that I'd rather give you a 2-second boring part of the video than have to go through it and edit it all. And none of this is going to go back how it was because I've gone through it. So that's that side. Oh dear, this is such a big, heavy book. And then we move on to the next side. I've got some pin charms and things on there. So this side, move this right over. So when we open this side up, this is a notebook that I've glued to the inside, and it's got lots of information about crystals in here. We start this side with phases of the moon, and here we've got oil scents with some bits and bobs on, and this again is a scrapbook paper that I will be making covers out of, so I will show you those when they're done. And that's a nice size really to put in. Sabbat cookies. So again, we've got some recipes. I need to put that back on there, otherwise I will forget. Excuse my arms. Here we have some art journaling. Another flip out. The beginning of awareness. Just check I'm still in frame actually. Just about. Information about the different phases of the moon. This side doesn't want to move. Some of my art there. Blue moon magic. mantras there. So I do hope by looking through my Book of Shadows, this gives you some inspiration for your own, or gives you ideas of things that you want to include in your own. Some more watercolour artwork there. And I mean, I hope you can see by looking through mine that not everything has to be pristine. I mean, yes, I like lots of arty pages, but they don't have to be perfect. You know, there's nothing wrong with you having pages that are purely information and no art. There's nothing wrong with you having pages that are all art and barely any information. There's nothing wrong with you using other people's information, so long as you state that if you're going to post it online or give it to other people to use. There's nothing wrong with you adding your own artwork. Again, this is some watercolour. If I've included a piece of artwork like this again will be a spell. I generally will do some spells during new moons and full moons and various other things, and I will just write very lightly in pencil and then paint over it all so you can't see it. This is about moon gardens, which I don't actually have, but it was something at the time I was really interested in and still am to a certain degree, so there's nothing to say in the future that I won't have a moon garden. Keeps getting stuck on that side. So this was moons in 2020. My idea was that I was going to list them all for every year, but then 2020 was when I moved away from just working in here and moving on to the smaller books of shadows throughout the year and just upgrading this each year. This is some of my artwork, and again this was a spell. This was some information out of another book, and I've just used washi tape to put them together. Some different information about types of moons. How to tell that this binder is old. It's so easy to move the clasps now that all the pages struggle to get over them. So this is all moon spells now, spells that are related to the moon. And this is a pull out. This is my favourite Anne Stokes piece of artwork, Mystic Aura. This is a fold out, and this is a piece of my artwork here. Linking dragons again. This was a full moon release spell that me and my daughter did. Some information about Ouija boards, and I have one in the book. It's about scrying and pendulums. pendulum board there. And we move on to the runic alphabet. And this literally took me forever because there's so much information about runes, and I wanted the standard information about runes in here as well as my own. And again, they're all on completely different pages because that's just how I roll, really. I don't like pages to be completely the same. So there will become a certain point where I can't make any more because I've made all of the pages. Yawning again. Oh, I apologise. Talking about candles now. Some colouring there that my daughter did. And then we move on to spells. So before we actually start any of my spells, I have put a lot of information about enhancing and empowering your spell work. A little flip out there. About programming and charging your crystals for spell work. Spell casting using the power of people. Menstrual blood. And how to use that in your practice. As well as things that a lot of people don't want to listen to. But have heard rumours about, such as using nail clippings and saliva and fluids and, you know, that sort of thing. Why somebody would use them as opposed to I'm using them. It's a case of why somebody would use these things, and if in the future I want to use them, then I have that information here. Spellcasting using the power of planets. Spellcasting using spirits. And the reason why these are all on this type of paper and on here is because this was originally in my first Book of Shadows bullet journal, and I bought an A4 one. And yeah, essentially at the end of the year, I cut that open and just put these in here because I like them so much. I haven't done that since, actually. Everything that's been in my Books of Shadows, if I want to put it in my Grimoire, I'll just remake a page. But at the time, I worked a lot on these, and I really wanted to keep that in here. This was my first ever attempt at making a journal, a normal craft journal, and this was one of the signatures that was in it, and I just absolutely loved it. So again, it's a flip out and a flip out, and this is literally lots and lots of home spells. Not magic. So again, piece out of a book. This is all about the Celtic knot. So you'll see with a lot of these that I don't really write how the spell went, or, you know, the findings. Sorry, I'm going to yawn again. Goodness me. And that's because that's written in the Book of Shadows and not the Grimoire. So things only get put in the Grimoire once I've done them more than a few times. And obviously key information, but spell-wise, it's only ever in here if it's something I make, something that I use all the time, or something that I know I'm going to possibly want to use. And I want that information here so that I can refer to it quite quickly, as opposed to searching through which Book of Shadows it was that I discovered that. Attracting wealthy men spell. That was actually quite funny, and it didn't work because essentially I won't go into the full detail. It didn't work at the time. Since then, you know, things have occurred. Let's put it that way. Prosperity jar. Green candle money spell. This one I use quite a lot. Especially at the moment with the cost of living crisis here in the UK, and I'm sure elsewhere in the world. I sort of live on a day-to-day basis when it comes to money, because, you know, life isn't easy. And although I don't really like to bring money into things, it's important that you understand that when it comes to money, you'll find it when you need it most. So the way I cope with that is to do this money spell, and that helps. Protection pennies. Lotions and potions. So yeah, this is a bit of tape on here that's coming off. So this is about buying oils and things, and lotions and soaps. And if you're going to make them, make sure you make them properly. And again, I've done a lot of this in my Book of Shadows as opposed to my Grimoire. So this is a fold out with fold outs upon fold outs upon fold outs. And it's my way of just adding extra information without putting loads more pages in. And it's the size of an envelope, but, you know, there's probably 3 pages worth of information on there. That's that scrapbook paper again. Some incense blends that I make in there, just on little pieces of paper, so that they're easy for me to get out and take to the kitchen with me if I'm making them. That's the packet from the chamomile seeds that I planted. So now we've got some information on different herbs, and again, by all means, this isn't all of them. My Books of Shadows are full. These are just the ones that I use the most, really. Some thyme there. Sage, and there is some in that little envelope. Borage. Roses. And when things are poisonous or have warning labels, I will put those in here as well. So you can see here, warning, do not ingest while pregnant. Not that I intend on ever getting pregnant again, but for future generations, I'd rather have that in here. So these were the seed packets that I got in a magazine, the Spirit and Destiny magazine. Oh, many, many years ago now. And I kept packets because I thought they were cute. No reason why not to, really. And pretty much all of these things are in my garden, so I have easy access to them. I'll move on to aura work. I have, again, so many pages in my Books of Shadows. Some information there about that colour correspondence. And again, we've got a pocket with information there, and another here. And that, dear friends, is the last page. On the back here, it's just an envelope with even more bits of information. So I hope you found this video helpful and insightful and not boring. I do apologise with me yawning every 2 minutes. As I said, I'm not tired, but it is quite early in the morning. So hopefully you have enjoyed having a look at this bad boy. As I said, in future, I think I'm going to have to make a new one because this one is pretty much past it. The clasps inside are broken. What I may do is take out the binders, these parts, and actually turn it into a journal, so I'll stitch pages in and use it that way, because it's now got to a point where it's so large, and I mean, oh, it really is heavy, to the point where I can't even carry it around now. And the point was that I wanted to be able to have it all in one place so that I could carry it around. The issue there being that I obviously can't carry it around because it is so heavy. So I'm going to have a look at what I can do about that. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below any questions that you might have, and keep an eye out for the next video, which should be up in the next couple of days. I do plan on doing at least 2 videos a week, sometimes more if I'm well enough. I'm quite lucky at the moment with the fibromyalgia that I'm not flaring, so I'm able to film a little. So fingers crossed, there should be at least 1 more video coming up this week, possibly 2. And I hope to see you there. So, brightest blessings. See you next time.